We had a border czar. She loved the title, but she didn't want to do the work because she's lazy, and probably more importantly than being lazy, she wants to have an open border. And you say, who would want an open border where criminals can pour into our country?
Says, when I point out what the Democratic Party and their super PACs have done to sabotage our campaign, their response is always, I bet Trump is worse at democracy. Here's an idea. Stop suing us. Let us debate.
When you take that together with the fact that I can't be bought, I'm not a corrupt politician. I'm a mom. I'm a fierce mom. And I've seen the corruption in this country eat away the very soul of childhood.
Donald Trump is in Arizona. You see, they're talking a lot about him, and this is what it looked like. Dan Scavino shared this one for us and said this was President Trump's motorcade as he was making his way through Arizona. Check this out. This was massive. And so let me just show you this without the audio. You can see this was the lineup, and I don't know exactly where this was. And you can see the crowd is just literally on the side of the road. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So this is what Arizona actually feels like. And I know we keep seeing polls that it's bluer than we'd like it to be, but this is kind of the vibe, I'd say, around Arizona. And, you know, kind of shocking to think that this state is becoming a blue state, if that is the truth. So this was the motorcade on the way to the U.S. and to Mexico earlier in the afternoon. So interesting, right? Nice crowds, a lot of people there in support of Trump. He's making his way out, and he was actually speaking at the border, and there were some interesting exchanges happening here. This is what Trump sounded like when he was there at the southern border today.
When they refused to, I built hundreds of miles of this, by the way, as far as the eye can see. You look at the other direction, as far as the eye could see, and then I'd hear people say, oh, he didn't build the wall. We built the wall. We built much more than I was anticipated to build, and we were going to build an extra 200 miles. Much of this is that, which is much more than I said I was going to do, because as we built it, they would go around the edges. So we were going further and further out, and it worked. We had the best numbers ever, and we had them largely because of the wall, and also because the Mexican military helped us, which they never helped at any time. They never helped. And we were very proud of it. So we went from the best numbers in recorded history to the worst numbers in recorded history or any other history. And we have a Marxist that's running, and I don't think you can let her. This country is not ready for a Marxist president. She will never build the wall. She doesn't want to build the wall. She's only saying if she changes her mind, it's only because she wants to get elected, because who wouldn't want to have a strong border? You need strong borders and strong elections, and we have neither. But we're going to have very strong borders, and we're going to have very strong elections soon. The people are fed up. It's common sense. The people are just fed up. And you saw it. Everybody coming from the airport saw the thousands and thousands of people lined up. It looked like Lindbergh coming in from what he did at the time. Broadway, it was amazing when you see all those people. It's a long drive from the airport, and so many thousands and thousands of people. The people in my car say, I've never seen anything like that. We're in the middle of an area that's not well populated, and to have thousands of people like that is pretty unbelievable. I hope you got to see it. And I hope the press rates the story fairly, because it's a story of disgrace. We had a border czar. She loved the title, but she didn't want to do the work because she's lazy, and probably more importantly than being lazy, she wants to have an open border. And you say, who would want an open border where criminals can pour into our country?
Look at all that fence just
all you have
laying
to
there.
do is walk up there if you have the courage to do it, and go to that open section. Stand there for a little while. You'll be running back here very quickly. You really have to write this fairly, this story, because you people don't want to talk about the border. You don't want to talk about the bad things that are going on in our country. We're going to end up not having a country. You're not going to have any media. We don't have media. They don't have media. They do their own media. They don't need media. But you really should cover this story fairly. Before I begin, I have some very good words on the border, what to do and how to solve the problem. We had it solved. All they had to do is leave it. But before I begin, I want to address the fake job numbers on top of everything.
All right, so they had a bunch of people there today. You can see they're out there at the border. It is hot in Arizona right now. I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, they're standing outside in the 100+ degree heat. It's rough out there, but they're doing it because this is important. This is a critical issue that's impacting many, many people, like this woman, right? Who many of these people, like this guy, right? What do you think happened to this woman? May she rest in peace. Dead. Didn't need to be dead. So, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to her. Here's a little bit of this story.
Please, he needs to be in office, and we need better control. We need to stop this. We need to stop losing littles. We need to stop losing children, mothers, sisters, because now I get to grieve every single day. Every milestone that hits gets harder because she's not there for it. She was going to be a 7th grader. She had her whole life ahead of her. Her whole life ahead of her, and it was viciously taken away by two evil, heinous monsters. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to my words, and please help him make a change. Thank you.
All right, so peace to her and her family, and prayers for her loved one and their recovery through their grief. Terrible thing that's happening. And Trump is down there to learn more about it and to address it. Now, elsewhere in Arizona, we saw this is also happening. Here is what it looks like. The Republican Party in Arizona is happy about this. They said that SCOTUS rules in favor of Arizona voter registration requirements. Monumental victory for election integrity. So they're very happy about it. They say today's decision mandates that Arizona must reject state voter registration forms without proof of citizenship. Okay, so it's very nuanced, but pre this decision, if you went to fill out a registration form, yes, you get the form, you fill it out, it's an Arizona form, state voter registration form, you submit it, you say that I would like to vote and I'm a citizen. They say, okay, they can't verify it or anything. I swear under penalty of perjury, they're not checking it. It goes in, or if they can't verify it, right, then you only get a federal ballot by default. What Arizona did is change the law so that that does not happen. You just do not get a ballot if you use a state voter form. If you want to vote, you have to fill out a form, and the registration form is going to have requirements on it. They're saying you have to have a citizenship requirement, a component, to even fill out the form before you get a ballot. So it's very nuanced. Let's go through it. You can see the opinion doesn't tell us a lot. It just says the application for a stay presented to Kagan, been denied in part. So some judges wanted it to come through, others did not. And we have a nice summary that was assembled for us courtesy of SCOTUS blog. And so let's read through what's happening here, because this is important. And this is in the context of what they did previously with New York. We read through that earlier this week, where they are now allowing universal mail-in balloting because 6 judges decided that it was now allowed in New York, even though it hadn't been for 150 years. And the legislature themselves had tried to pass a state amendment and failed to do that. So they just re-identified and then got it done. Anyways, here's what this decision was about. It says a divided Supreme Court on Thursday granted a request from the Republicans in Arizona, good news, to reinstate a state law that requires residents, so if you're here, to provide proof of citizenship to register to vote using a form if it comes from the state, right? Which is kind of the ubiquitous form. It's the form that's everywhere. It's a state form. If you want to use the state form, need citizenship. Now, the court turned down a request, however, to reinstate the portion of the same law that would bar voters who register using a standard federal form from voting for president or by mail unless they provide proof of citizenship. Okay, so there's 2 forms. State form, okay, you got to have citizenship. Federal form, you can still register to vote. You don't have to provide proof of citizenship. You just have to check a box that says, I'm a citizen. I swear under penalty of perjury. That's it. Now, but the vote was 5-4, very brief unsigned order. Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, they all indicated they have granted the RNC's application to fully reinstate the law. They would have. 4 other justices said no. The Arizona law at the center of the dispute was enacted in 2022. It directs county officials to attempt to verify the citizenship of anyone who attempts to register using a federal form. Try to find it. Now, if the officials cannot do so, right, because a federal form, and there's all these communication problems that are intentionally problematic so that you can't check. She says, for example, because they don't have access to the databases from the feds that give us the citizenship info or something, the applicant must submit proof of citizenship, like a birth certificate or a passport, to prove them that they're citizens in order to vote for president or to vote by mail. In a separate provision, the law also requires anyone who registers using the Arizona state form to do the same. So soon after the law was passed, a bunch of lefty groups who want illegals to vote, they said they were voting rights groups and Democrats, obviously, they went to court to challenge the law. How dare you try to stop illegals from voting? They argued that the NVRA, the national federal law, supersedes Arizona, and so to hell with you guys. Now, the private plaintiffs who sued also said that a Katie Hobbs consent decree, so then our Secretary of State, when she was in charge, a corrupt Democrat who, in my opinion, rigged elections to become the governor, was somebody who entered into a private decree with somebody else, another group, to bind our state into never having citizenship again in some private rigged deal. So then last year, a federal district court agreed with the United States and said, no, feds override the states. Then the RNC appealed it. This is the wildest thing. Went to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. Then they granted the request. The Arizona law came back into place. But then Then they turned around. Okay, July 18th, okay, law comes back. Then on August 1st, they turned back around. A different 3-judge panel reinstated the lower level court again and said, actually, the law's on hold again. So so then they went to the Supreme Court on August 8th. We read through the whole opinion. 24 other states joined them. And then the court came out, obviously, and issued its decision today. So Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays opposed this. She said the state has an interest in smoothly administering its laws, especially for elections, saying that she put the district court's injunction on hold. It would destabilize a bunch of stuff, whatever. All right, so it's good news out of Arizona. We do have some semblance of voter registration that's required if there are state forms being used. But as we see here, even from SCOTUS blog, which is not a righty website, is saying all you got to do is just go get a federal form and just swear under penalty of perjury that you're a citizen. No one's going to check. No one's going to clear out the rosters. And that's going to be the end of the story. People will get ballots and surely they'll vote. Now, there was also a weird thing that was happening today. This guy was apparently out to kill Trump. Just showed up on like multiple Secret Service lists again or whatever. Actually, they don't care. I'm fine. Could say that all day long. Nobody's even going to check. Like, whatever. That sounds good. But anyways, so Cochise County searching for a man with outstanding warrants. Shout out to our friend Carly Bonney, who was clipping this one, says that this guy was arrested today. There was a manhunt that was basically issued today, and then they got the guy. So here is what this sounds like.
And the day was supposed to be today. We don't have any other additional information. I do believe we have the picture of the suspect who we can put up right now. Again, I think you mentioned, John, his name is Ronald Lee Servid. He's a white male, 6 feet, glasses, 66 years old. His last known address was in Benson, Arizona. That's about an hour and 20-minute drive from the city of Sierra Vista, about from where we're standing right now. So the sheriff of Cochise County is actually going to be greeting the president today and is expected to be here. So we're hoping that we can get some sort of update from him. But yes, chilling information, a chilling update to get as the president is headed here, as we do consider what happened early this summer, and also that the president just returned to those outdoor rallies where, in fact, he now has to have bulletproof glass in front of his body. Back to you.
Alicia, as you noted, we have his picture up on the screen now. This was from not a mugshot, we're told. This is actually from a search warrant for suspicious activity for a Benson resident who's wanted for several outstanding warrants. As described, 6 feet tall, white male, glasses, 66 years old.
Well, they arrested the guy, right?
Last known address, Benson. The subject has outstanding warrants from the state of...
Yeah, so they actually arrested the dude. So I'm not sure if this report may have come before he was actually arrested, but he ultimately was arrested. So that is good news. Now, we also have some interesting updates with the RFK people, because the RFK people have a big announcement tomorrow. We're excited about that. So we know RFK Jr. is going to be in Arizona. He's going to be addressing the nation about his future. And Trump is going to be in Arizona, in Glendale. Your boy is going to be out there. We're going to do our best to live stream from there to see how the event is. We'll see if we can figure out how to do that. But it's going to be fun. And we're excited to see if maybe the special guest at the Trump event is RFK Jr. So Nicole Shanahan, who is the vice presidential nominee for the RFK team, says in the rumors, as the rumors have been flying, says, my old Democrat buddies, old because they're dead to me, says they have been flooding me with frantic calls and texts and emails. Well, unlike Roe, I wouldn't dream of airing those private conversations publicly. But the message is clear. They're terrified of the idea of our movement joining forces with Donald Trump. Says, when I point out what the Democratic Party and their super PACs have done to sabotage our campaign, their response is always, I bet Trump is worse for democracy. Here's an idea. Stop suing us. Let us debate. Quit rigging the media and the polls. It's a simple formula, people. Get with it, for crying out loud. Ro Khanna might be that individual. Unlike Roe, I wouldn't dream of airing those things. Maybe that's what he did. Now, here Nicole also was reposting this one on X, was reposting this from Dr. Jill Stein, who's also running. And Dr. Jill Stein shared this one. Michelle Obama said this earlier at the convention. Clearly a ridiculous statement coming from the Democrats. Her own husband got elected to the Senate after they basically sued and got his opponents removed from the ballot. That's how he got his start. And then from there, they've waged open war against Trump ever since he came down the escalator with fake Russian hoax nonsense, with a Steele dossier all made up, fake criminal charges. The list goes on and on. So here's what she said.
If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No, we don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top.
but there kind of was, though. Kind of. What did Obama ever do or build? All right, no one knows. Other than being a community organizer who got swept into power after he threw his opponents off in the corrupt city of Chicago, which is where you're back at. All right, so Michelle Obama, she says, we don't cheat others to get ahead. We don't get to change the rules, so we always win. No, you don't. Sure. Okay, you guys rig everything. You tried to throw Trump off the ballot. You've sued multiple times the RFK people. And now even Dr. Jill Stein is saying there's a pattern here. Says, stop the gaslighting, Michelle. Right now, the Democrats are trying to sue us off multiple state ballots, hiring spies and infiltrators to sabotage us, and even withholding public funds that we qualified for months ago. Democrats absolutely cheat, and they change the rules to maintain their grip on power. All right, so like there's a pattern, obviously. Okay, the Republicans have been saying this for a long time. We've been screaming it here from the rooftops from the beginning. And now we've got RFK Jr. recognizing it. Cheaters, liars, bullies, connivers, man. And now Dr. Jill Stein, maybe she'll drop out too and endorse Trump too. We'll be looking forward to that. All of us can come together and just recognize, man, it's like, got to get the different power rings together from all the different, it's fine to take out this Democrat, megalith. It's insane that they have so much power that they can just sue people into oblivion, that they're suing RFK into oblivion, basically, is what it sounds like. That they don't have the resources to even wage a fight, to even just have a fair shake at it. And a bunch of people out there are really supportive of that party. It's kind of nuts. So here's another one from Nicole Shanahan. It says, I'm a mom, a fierce mom. I've seen the corruption in this country eat away at the soul of my childhood, very soul of childhood. Nothing will take my eye off the course, the mission to course correct any of that. So here's Nicole.
I'm a mother to a child with special needs who's impacted
Shout out.
by the chronic disease epidemic. More than half of American children are impacted by this epidemic. And I will dedicate likely the rest of my life to fighting on behalf of children and their right to be healthy and their right to thrive. I'm also a very vocal advocate for women's health. I'm the largest funder in scientific research into the foundational science around women's reproduction and fertility. And I don't intend to monetize any of our discoveries. I intend to empower women to be fully informed about their health and choices and options. And so I believe that taken in sum, also I'm able to contribute to the campaign directly. There's campaign finance laws that allow candidates themselves to self-finance an unlimited amount. And when you take that together with the fact that I can't be bought, I'm not a corrupt politician. I'm a mom. I'm a fierce mom. And I've seen the corruption in this country eat away the very soul of childhood. And there is nothing in me that could ever take my eye off of the mission to course correct that issue.
All right, so that sounds good. I think there's a big corruption problem. And now she's got a front row seat to exactly what's happening when you challenge the party.